स्वाध्याय टीवी। डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी।
Namaskar. Again, welcome in a Swadhyay video for the requirement on recording for the subject of cost accounting introduction part 2. As we already discussed in a part 1 regarding the cost accounting, what is cost accounting, costing and cost, as well as the differences of a cost accounting and financial accounting, and the many more the topics which would be advice and requirement for the advancement of the introduction part of the cost as a subject. Here in this particular second session, we are going to discuss a few more topics regarding the introduction of a cost accounting. Let's move the first point in this particular session regarding the cost accounting, that is advantages of a cost accounting. As such, we discussed what is costing and how the cost is actually very much important for the business organizations, whether they are a manufacturer or a service organizations. In that regards, that they are actually manufacturing a products as well as they providing a services, they are willing to know that the what amount of benefits to be taken from the system and how it would be improvise the system for the improvisation of their profitability as well as the efficiency. So that is why they are willing to know that the which type of advantages are available if they adopted the cost accounting system in their organization. Let's discuss the advantages of cost accounting one by one. The first point is that is the profitable and unprofitable activities are disclosed. In that regards, they wanted to identify that there are many type of activities are actually going on in the business organizations, but the certain activities are maybe a profitable or maybe the some activities are unprofitable. So they wanted to discriminate and identify that the profitable and unprofitable activities. What are the reasons behind it? The reasons behind it that the company have a reliable sources as well as the reasonable sources to be utilized for maximum amount of profit has to be earned from the available activities, and that is why they are willing to know that if there are many activities but the certain activities are not a profitable activities, then the unprofitable activities should be stopped and the resources as well as the manpower which would be actually utilized for unprofitable activity can be taken out from that and utilized for the profitable activity, can manufacture a more amount of quantity and more amount of production and try to earn a more and more profit from out of it. So that is why the company can help out, or maybe organization will take a benefit through this system and identified the profitable and unprofitable activities. The second is helps in cost control. Definitely it would be help in cost control. Listen, there are many techniques and many methods can be utilized in this system. Through this system, they can actually control their cost in a reasonable way. So through the marginal costing or maybe a decision making, they can definitely control a cost. But they wanted to identify that the how and which type of factors affecting a cost controlling. So according to the identification of the different type of parameters and factors, they try to evaluate it, and according to that calculations, the factors affecting to the cost, they identified maybe a material, maybe a labor, maybe a fixed cost and a variable cost, and on these variations they would be identified the controlling of cost. With that, they can use the different techniques as I already mentioned, maybe a marginal costing, maybe a standard costing or a decision making through, they can try to control their cost. Moving to the next point, that is information for a projection. Information for a projections is actually a requirement of the how they can actually identify of their project for the future planning. Fine. Suppose if they are actually manufacture a product X, and according to their calculation maybe that their product manufacturing cost as compared to the other organization, it would be little higher. So now they wanted to actually project to control their cost and how the efficiency as well as the profitability would be increased in this regard. So for the projection of the future planning, they would identify that the amount of parameters to be designed for the particular product, try to understand the how it would be controlled and evaluated of the product, and then applied the same factors with the controlling with the statistical information. So here for providing a such statistical data, the cost accounting system, if they adopted this particular data, would be applied and used to control as well as the projection for the future planning. So it would be helpful for the projection, or you can say for the future planning, the informations would be available through the cost accounting system. The next is decision making. N number of decisions are going to take in the manufacturing unit as well as the service unit, as I mentioned. Maybe the company is actually manufacturing a product, so they need to identify whether the product would be manufactured in the premises or they can purchase from the outside if it would be cheaper than the manufacturing in the premises. Maybe if they are using one machinery, and if the machinery is not so efficient, then they would get an idea that the machinery would not be efficient, then how the machinery would get an optimum utilization for the manufacturing of product. Or maybe they were willing to know that if the machinery would change, instead of this machinery, if we are going to buy a new machinery and install a new machinery, and if the new machinery would be more efficient to get a more amount of quantity and more amount of production, would be benefited ultimately at the end of profitability affected. So get it done with that and install the new machinery. That is the another decision. Maybe the product is not a profitable, or maybe a product is not so marketable, then would need to take a decision whether the product should be stopped, or maybe the taking some another decision regarding that. So such type of decision can be taken only if the system has been adopted by any manufacturing organization. So in this regard, for the decision making, the cost accounting system and costing method would be a very much appropriate and very much reliable to get some amount of additional help for the manufacturer or for the or to the managers who would get a more and more efficient decision in the future planning. The next is further product policy. For the product policy, as we can say that maybe the company is already manufacturing a line of products, or they may be having a series of products, but the series of products may be not find out the good actually changes in the last few period of time, or maybe they are actually not use their R&D in an efficient level to change or maybe updated their products in the coming period of time. So how the costing system and costing method would be helpful to change their policy, as well as they can update their product policies. So here they can always use through the R&D division and updated their products with the maximum amount of inputs to be given to find out how this product would be more and more efficient and more customer oriented, that the product will provide a maximum amount of results to the end users. So in that regards, for the further product policy, the company will try to find out the market evaluations, as well as they will find out what amount of requirement has been actually raised from the market, and according to that they can apply how much amount of cost has been incurred more if the product line has been changed, or maybe if you are going to adopt a new product. So in such way, the cost accounting system would be helpful for a further product policy also. Next is fixing a selling price. Fine. The fixing a selling price, according to me, as I already mentioned in the last session, if you remember that, one of the main objective regarding the cost is the selling price decision, or taking a decision of a selling price or a fixation of a selling price. So here, as an advantage also, the fixing a selling price, the cost accounting system is a most appropriate system, because of through the costing system or through the cost structure only, the company or a manufacturer or an organization or a manager would able to know that what amount of costing has been incurred for the manufacturing of a particular product or a respected product. So on that basis, the respected product to be identified, their cost and different type of cost structures on the basis of a departmental level or maybe a different type of level, and then the profitability would be added, or maybe a percentage of profit would be added on that product, the how much amount of a reasonable profit to be added on the product, and then they find out the selling price. So fixing of selling price, for that this system is a more suitable and more comfortable system. Moving to the next point, that is helps in increasing a profit. Definitely, I just want to tell you, if you applied a costing system, you can take a benefit of a maximum amount of a reduction of your wastages, losses, as well as the amount of uses of efficiently of optimum utilization of your resources. So if you are able to use your resources as an efficiently or maybe an optimum level, as well as if you are able to reduce your wastages and losses, automatically it reflects on your profit. So it would be benefited to increase your profitability, vice versa, that you can actually try to take an action against that reducing your wastages as well as losses. The moving to the next point is inventory control. Fine, inventory control or a management of a stock, that would be a more realistic, and I think so. I want to tell you, the cost accounting system is only the system where the company can apply the different type of costing methods like a material management or an overheads concern, wherever the material, direct material or indirect material has been managed through the ABC system, ABC analysis, or maybe a inventory management or a stock management. Through this particular system, they can try to control the stocks, and according to the management of inventory, they identified that the how much amount of inventory is actually required on a rotation period of a manufacturing concern. On the basis of that, they can put in for the order for a raw material, as well as they can find out the efficiency into the particular segment. So in this way, the efficiency through the inventory management or stock management, they can actually apply a maximum utilization of the cost accounting system. Cost reduction. Cost reduction, as I already mentioned, that the costing, the one of the most important object, again another object is the costing system is applied only for the reduction of cost and controlling the cost. Rather, actually a reduction of the cost, you can say the controlling the cost. How you can control the cost? Because of at least you have an idea where the actually amount of cost has been incurred, how the cost can be reduced. At least you can see that where the possibilities of the cost reduction has been actually identified. Maybe in the case of a direct expenditures or an indirect expenditures, maybe you can identify the reduction of the cost in a variable expenditures, or maybe in a certain amount of expenditures on a semi-variable expenditures. As I did not try to mention that the fixed expenditures may be controllable, but certain period of time you can at least identify that the fixed cost is also maybe some period of time controllable. But in a variable expenses or a semi-variable expenses, at least you can have some amount of control where you can try to reduce your cost, and on the basis of the cost reduction, automatically it reflects on your profitability. So here the cost reduction, this system is appropriate. Checks the accuracy of a financial accounts. As I already mentioned in the last session, where the differences were discussed, that the financial accounts and a cost accounts, the one of the point was very clear. The financial accounts has been designed on the basis of a cost accounts. So here the cost account has actually provided some statistical informations and how it would be actually allocated to the different department. As I just wanted to mention once again here, that the certain period of expenditures or maybe a certain amount of expenditures are incurred overall for organization. You cannot easily identify that these expenditures are incurred for this particular segment or this particular product or for this particular department. So on that particular way, you cannot discriminate, as well as you cannot allocate the expenditures on a departmental basis or maybe a product basis. So on this particular ground, you can at least have some statistical data and statistical information. Through this particular, you can create a bridge between a financial accounts and a cost account and identify the more financial accuracy on this particular concern. So this is what I want to discuss, the advantages of cost accounting. So the first point regarding the advantages of a cost accounting, as I already mentioned, there are many advantages. So these are the advantages of cost accounting. Moving to the next point, this as a limitations of cost accounting. limitations, as actually I just want to tell you here, always advantages and limitations are a two side of a coin. So if there are some advantages, automatically the people who may not be actually compatible with the particular system or maybe a particular thing, they always find out the certain limitations. The limitations like maybe it is unnecessary, maybe it is too expensive, it is inapplicable, or maybe it's a completely failure. So these are the arguments has been raised by the certain people who are maybe actually not willing to do with this particular system, or maybe not comfortable with the system. As I just want to mention here, it is unnecessary. First argument is it is unnecessary. Why it is an unnecessary? Because of the actually the company has to prepare cost records, they have to create some separate department, they have to manage this department in a systematic way, how it would be involvement with the financial accounts. Maybe they can identify that the certain period of expenditures has incurred on the system, which may be a duplication of the work. So fine, it creates a certain discrepancy for the system. So in this way, it is actually create a amount of unnecessary requirement. Moving to the next point, it is an expensive. Definitely it might be expected it is an expensive, or it is maybe accepted also. Why it is an expensive? Because of the system is required with the full-fledged staff. Not only full-fledged staff, but they need a skilled and technical based staff, because of the whole cost accounting system is actually based on some cost accountant and the person who are actually having a skill to evaluate a cost structures and cost system. So definitely they have a certain number of skilled and developed staffs. They have some specific departments who are actually having a screening at every particular level, at every department. So in this way they can actually find out some expenditures more in the organizations and in the company. So that is why it is an expensive. The next is it is inapplicable. Why it is inapplicable? Leave it, because of maybe there are many methods is actually adopted. So here if you have some certain modern methods to be adopted, to be identified, the reducing the cost and controlling the cost, it is fine. But if you have a certain specific system to applied of the particular in your organization, it would be maybe difficult, and that's why their argument is it is inapplicable. Why it is inapplicable? Because of you are actually having a such type of business, you may not be having a proper system to applied in your organization. If you are applied this system, it may not be helpful in your organization. How it would be not helpful in your organization? That maybe they don't have a such type of argument with an example or with maybe a certain proof, but their argument is very clear that is inapplicable because of maybe this method or this system is not suitable for your organization. But how you can identify it? Once you can adopted that, installed in your system, and if it is not working properly in your system, then you can identify it is inapplicable. And one more limitation, that is it is a failure. As already we discussed the first 3 points. Sorry, first is unnecessary, then expensive, or maybe inapplicable. In the same way it comes to a failure. Failure in the sense of maybe the system is already adopted one method. Suppose if I want to tell you, if it is one organization is manufacturing one product and they are actually using a contract system. A contract account has been applied only in the sense of a big contract and where the civil works and engineering works are applied. Suppose if they are actually manufacturing a very small product in the manufacturing unit, if they don't have a civil works and engineer works, or maybe they don't have a big contracts, definitely the contract accounting system or contract method is not suitable for their company. That means it is failure for them. It is acceptable, but they need to identify which system is applicable for their organization. There are many methods and techniques which can be utilized on the basis of the features of a unit, or on the basis of the kind of unit. So you have to identify the method and technique is suitable for your organization, and then you apply it may not be a failure. So this is what all about. I want to tell you the limitations of the cost accounting. As we already discussed the 2 points, advantages and the limitations of the cost accounting. Now moving to the next point, let's discuss the next point which we are actually create, that is the classification of cost. it's a big big points. Classification of cost, it means that the cost has been classified on the basis of many features and many factors. The classification of cost has been actually classified in a many parts, on the basis of a time, on the basis of a nature, on the basis of a traceability, on the basis of an association with the product, on the basis of an activity and volume, on the basis of a functional classifications, relationship, controllability, and many more. So, on this particular way, the classification of cost is identified. So, now let us move the first classification on the basis of time. So, here on the basis of time, it is actually classified in a two parts. One is an historical cost and other one is a predetermined cost. Historical cost, it means the cost once it is incurred for the manufacturing of product. So, it means the cost has been already incurred for the manufacturing of product, it is called an historical cost. The cost which was already incurred and which have some value, it is called an historical cost. And predetermined cost, it means the cost actually are calculated before they are incurred on the basis of specifications. So, it means that the cost is actually identified and they may be assumed on the basis of a certain principles or maybe on the basis of a certain factors. So, that is called a predetermined cost. In the predetermined cost also, it would be divided into a two part. One is estimated cost and other one is a standard cost. I want to give you one more thing, is an actual cost also. What is an estimated cost? For explaining this point, I just want to take in one example. Suppose if the one company manufacturing oil products, or they are actually need, or maybe they are having a main raw material for the manufacturing of an oil product, that is coconut. So, here they are manufacturing a coconut oil. So, coconut oil manufacturing products is required, the main raw material is coconut. Now, how the predetermined cost can be understood? Just a minute. So, here as I already mentioned, the predetermined cost has been divided into a two part. One is an estimated cost and other one is the concern of the part of a standard cost. I want to mention that the actual cost is also here participated. How? So, here once the company is already manufacturing a coconut oil long before. So, whatever the cost has been incurred to purchase a raw material on an earlier stage, that wasn't their actual cost, or you can say it's an historical cost because of the cost is already incurred once. Suppose if they purchase a coconut per coconut 2 rupees at that point of time. So, that means there were 2 rupees was an historical cost or an actual cost. Now, they are actually willing to manufacture on a higher scale or maybe the same scale also, but now they are actually try to bargain and they want to reduce their cost according to the certain parameters. Now, how the predetermined cost comes into the picture? Here the estimated cost, it means that before they are actually went into the market and identified or maybe a screening to the inquiry of a purchasing of a coconut, they would inquire many place. They just estimated that we would be try to buy a coconut this point of time at least at 25 paisa lesser than the last historical cost. So, it means that it was a purchase of 2 rupees, this time maybe we are trying to purchase at the payment point of 1.75 rupees. So, here they are going to maybe try to purchase at the cost of 1.75 per coconut. That is what their estimation, that is what their estimation cost. Now, here on the basis of their estimation is 1.75, that is what estimated cost, and now they went into the market. They try to find out what is the availability, how the coconut would be actually identified. Maybe the coconut would be identified on a so far places, maybe their manufacturing unit is also very far away from that the places. That means the transportation cost is also added into that particular raw material cost. Here these are the factors were affecting to purchasing of a coconut, and realization of the cost at that point of time when they asked to the suppliers, they told it would be available maybe at 2.25 or less, not less than 2 rupees. So, in that sense, when they actually identified their cost, it is around 2 rupees to 2.25 rupees. That is what the standard cost. That means the standard cost, it means the cost which may be possible to incurred at that point of time when they want to purchase it. What their estimation, that was 1.75. What was the standard, that was a 2, maybe a 2.25. So, the difference between these two estimated and the standard, that is what the difference, it is called a variances, and this variances is actually identified through the controlling of the cost. So here the classification is said, one is an historical cost which was already incurred for the manufacturing product. The second is the predetermined cost. On the basis of predetermined cost, one is an estimation cost as well as the standard cost. Why the estimated and standard has to be required? Because of they wanted to identify how the cost can be reduced and controlled, and how they can bargain the cost and negotiate it for the benefit of a company. So this is the first classification on the basis of time. Moving to the next classification, that is the basis of a nature or elements. Here in this second point I want to tell you, you can say the basis of nature also, but otherwise it would be a more popular, that is an elements of cost. Any particular cost structure or in the system, the cost is based on the elements of cost. That means there are three major elements in the designing of the cost. One is a material, second is labor, and third is overheads. In these three parts, you can also bifurcate it in two part of each, that is, one is a direct material, then indirect material, direct labor, indirect labor, as well as the direct expenditures and indirect expenditures, that is overheads. So here the material, which means which are actually used and converting from the raw material into a finished products, or the use of the product or a manufacturing of the product where the basic thing has required, it's called a material. So the material is actually a substance for which the product in made is known as material. Labor, what is a labor cost? Labor cost, if we want to concern the direct labor, it means the converting of a raw material into a finished products, or you can say the product which has been utilized for the consumer from the raw material, which is called a labor. So it is a direct labor. And the indirect labor, it means the supportive labor which would be useful for the manufacturing of a product, it is called an indirect labor. Overheads, the expenses which are actually incurred for a specific product or a specific task directly, it is called a direct expenses, which would be helpful for the manufacturing of an expenses, it's called indirect expenses. So on the basis of an elements, I just want to tell you there are basic three division, one material, second labor, third overheads, and again you can bifurcate all these three elements in a more two bifurcation, direct and indirect. Moving to the next classification, and that is by degree of a traceability to the product. As I already mentioned in the last part, that is direct cost and indirect cost. Here I just want to tell you the direct cost, it means which can be easily traceable to a product or some specific activity are called a traceable or a direct cost. Take an example. Suppose, as I already mentioned in the previous example, that is the coconut, I want to manufacture a coconut oil, or a manufacturing wanted to manufacture a coconut oil. What is their basic raw material? Coconut is a basic raw material. So here if I want to explain a direct cost, if in this case the direct cost is a raw material of coconut, or a coconut expenses for the particular manufacturer is a direct cost. Now if any amount of labor has been paid for converting this coconut into a coconut oil, it is called a direct labor. So the second part is the direct expenses, it means the direct expenditures incurred for the manufacturing of a product or involvement of a thing for a manufacturing a product, it is called a direct expenses, like a direct material or a direct labor. What is an indirect expenses? Indirect expenses, it means the subordinate part or a sub requirement of an expenditure or add-on expenditures of a business which runs business smoothly and without any interruption. Any expenditures are incurred to run a business smoothly, called an indirect expenses. So as the third classification is the degree of a traceability, the amount of expenditures are incurred for overall organization or in a general organization, it is called an indirect expenses. Direct expenses may be easily traceable, but indirect expenses may not be easily traceable to allocated for the respected department or respected services. So here this is what a third classification. Moving to the next point and next classification, that is an association with the product. Association with the product, that means there are two different partitions. One is a product cost and the second is a period cost. Product cost are the cost which are easily traceable to the product, as I already mentioned, which may be a direct expenses. Why it is an easily traceable? Because of it is a product cost. How it would be identified a product cost? Because of if you are manufacturing a coconut oil, so the coconut is a product. Coconut oil is a product. So what is the raw material used for the manufacturing of coconut oil? That is coconut. So it means that whatever the expenditure has been incurred for the purchasing of coconut, that is your product cost. It may be a direct labor or a direct expenditures. And the other one is a period cost. The period cost has been identified on the basis of a time, on the basis of a period. The how much amount of period has been actually concerned and what amount of period is actually concerned for the incurred at that particular cost. It is called a period cost. Suppose if I want to purchase an electricity, if I want to purchase or maybe I am actually I have a rented house. If I am going to pay a rent for the particular house, the rent is actually paid for a specific period, that it's considered as a part of a period cost. Electricity is also going to paid, that is for a specific period. So that means the electricity expenditures is also a period cost. So these are actually examples for a period cost. Moving to the next point, that is the by changes in activity or volume. Fine. How it would be identified the cost on the basis of an activity or volume? I just want to tell you, the certain expenditures are identified on the basis of an activity or volume only. If you want to bifurcate these expenses, there are only major two bifurcation. One is a fixed cost and the second is a variable cost. But in the coming scenario, or maybe you can find out from last many years, there is one more bifurcation in this particular category, that is the semi-variable expenses. Let's begin with the first partition, that is a fixed cost. What is fixed cost? The fixed cost, it means the cost which was not affected, or you can say unaffected, by the variations or the manufacturing volume of output. It is called a fixed cost. That means if whether the company is manufacturing a 5,000 unit or a 10,000 unit, if the cost is remains same, that is called a fixed cost. Let's an example. Suppose if you have an administrative staff in your organization, and suppose the administrative officer is actually appointed to manage a sales register or certain things. He is actually paying a salary of rupees 10,000. At that point of time, the manufacturing number of units may be 5,000 units. In the next month, a company changed their policy and they increased their manufacturing output from 5,000 units to 10,000 units. But the administrative officer's salaries remain same. Here it means that your output is going to change, but administrative staff salaries remain same, which is unaffected. It is called a fixed cost. That means if the cost is unaffected by the any volume of output change or increase by 1 unit, increase or decrease by 1 unit, it's called a fixed cost. What is variable cost? That is second part. Variable cost, it means if the cost has been changed by the increase or decrease of 1 unit, it's called a variable cost. It means that the cost has been changed by the increase or decrease of 1 unit. Or it means that it is calculated on the basis of output. Suppose if you are manufacturing a 5,000 units and the manufacturing unit, as I already take an example, the coconut oil they are manufacturing. So here if they are manufacturing a 5,000 units, they identified that they need this number of coconuts. Suppose they need 10,000 coconuts for the manufacturing of 5,000 bottles. Here now they want to increase from 5,000 bottles to 10,000 bottles. So it means that the needs a coconut also almost double, from 10,000 to 20,000. So here for increasing of 5,000 units, they are increasing their coconut cost also from 10,000 to 20,000. So it affects automatically the change of output. So when your cost has been changed or increased or decreased by 1 unit, it's called a variable cost. As I already mentioned, there is one more partition, that is semi-variable expenditures. The semi-variable expenditures is like this. Here up to certain level of production your cost is remain same, it would not be changed, it is unaffected. But after that, if it is increased by the number of units, and it would be variances on the basis of your output on your cost, it is called a semi variable cost. It means that up to certain level of output your cost is remain same, that is fixed cost, but after that if it is increased by 1 unit, it would be reflect on your cost, it is your semi variable cost. Take an example, suppose salesman commission. Salesman commissions or maybe you will actually paid a salary to the salesman. Here the salaries paid to the salesman is rupees 10,000 fixed, whether they are selling a 5,000 unit, 7,000 unit or 10,000 units here. But there is a one condition, if the salesmen are able to sell the products more than 10,000 units, he would get 1 rupee extra for the selling of one more unit. So if the salesman is able to sell, the sales of product is around more than 10,000 units, or maybe if he sells at 10,200, he would get 200 rupees more on his salesman salary. So that means the salesman salary in this regard, it is a semi variable expense. Why? Because of up to 10,000 units his salary is remain same, it would not be changed, but after that increasing of a 200 units in sales, automatically his salary is also increased by the proportionate as what amount of actually sales has been increased. So that is what the semi variable expenses. Fine, this is what all about the concern of activity or volume. Moving to the next point, that is functional classification of cost. This is also very much important point or a very much important classification so far. As we already discussed from last two sessions, that is the company has been adopted a cost system or costing methods on the basis of the requirement or on the basis of the structure. Any structure has been actually designed by the company, there are many departments or there are the expenditures which would be divided into many parts. This is what the function. So on the basis of the functional classification, on the basis of their functions, it has to be classified. Maybe it is to be classified on the basis of their manufacturing expenditures, maybe administrative expenditures, selling and distribution expenditures. If they have an R&D department, then research and development expenditures. Maybe before actually designing of the whole unit or an organization, if they have a pre-production cost like maybe negotiation with the government, maybe the license fees, agreement fees, architectural fees, or maybe the person who is actually try to identify the which type of business they are willing to do it, the person who is actually giving an ideas to set up a business, that a pre-production cost. So these are the functions of the particular organization, and on the basis of this functional classifications, all the expenditures has been divided and specified. As the manufacturing and production cost, it means here under this particular classification in the manufacturing and production, all the manufacturing and production related expenditures to be covered. That means the direct labor, direct material, direct expenses which are directly related with the manufacturing and production concern collected with this particular part. So any expenses regarding the direct material, direct labor would be considered under the manufacturing cost. The second is administrative cost. Simultaneously they have a manufacturing unit, they set up the manufacturing unit, but simultaneously they have an administrative staff also who is going to manage the different department, maybe account department, maybe a sales department, purchase department, audit department, store department, management department, audit department, or so many departments. So all departments have a different staff or a different skillful staffs or non-skillful staffs. On the basis of that, they are going to have some amount of salary expenditures, electricity expenditures, rent, or maybe many more expenditures, stationery and other expenditures on the basis of respected heads, and this expenditures is concerned with an administrative of a business. It is recorded under the administrative expenses. The next partition is selling and distribution expenses. They have a full-fledged selling and distribution department. Under the selling and distribution department, they maybe have a different type of advertisement expenses, selling expenses, marketing expenses, the staff of a sales and distribution department. So these expenditures are to be covered under the head of selling and distribution expenses. The next is R&D department, as they have a research and development wing. So research and development department is always active to find out the new innovations and new ideas which would be applied to update their products and change their policies, and they may be actually adopted the new product line. On these particular changes and required, the research and development have a many skilled staffs on the R&D department, and the all expenses regarding the R&D department would be considered under the R&D cost. And pre-production cost, as I already mentioned, may be a license fee, agreement fees, government negotiations and bargaining production cost, maybe land acquisitions and other part of a pre-production expenses which would be recorded under the pre-production cost. So this is what a functional classification so far. Next is a relationship with the accounting period. Relationship with the accounting period, it is actually divided into a two part. One is a capital cost and other one is a revenue cost. What is capital cost? Capital cost, it means that any amount of expenditures are incurred for a longer period and for the long period of time as well as the huge amount. It means the expenditures which are actually benefited for a long period consider as a capital expenditure. Like if you are actually purchasing assets, the assets like a land, building, machinery, furniture, it is called a capital cost. And revenue, what is the another second part? It's a revenue cost. The revenue cost, it means the cost which are incurred for maintaining your business for day-to-day transactions run smoothly, and any expenditures paid regarding this particular concern, it is called a revenue cost. So this is actually a relationship with the accounting period. Moving to the next point, that is controllability. Controllability has been actually divided into a two part, that is controllable cost and non-controllable cost. As I already discussed in the previous partitions, that is controllable cost, it means if the cost has been influenced by any action or a specific unit or a specific concern, that is called a controllable cost. It means that if the cost has been variance on the basis of an output, it is called actually a controllable cost. Here variable cost is a controllable cost, like a direct material, labor, it's a controllable cost. How it is controllable cost? Suppose if I was already taking example that the coconut you can purchase from the many different places. Here the choice is yours. You have plenty choices where the coconut as a coconut is available. So now decision is yours from which particular supplier you are going to buy a coconut. On the basis of that, you can definitely control your cost. And the another one is a non-controllable cost. The non-controllable cost, it means if it is not to be influenced by any actions or any unit, it is called a non-controllable cost. Generally a fixed cost is a non-controllable cost. As I just want to tell you, if you already install your machinery in your premises, so machinery has been already installed, right? Now if you are actually purchase this machinery on a borrowing funds, that means you already borrow a loan from a bank and purchase a machinery and install in your premises, that means interest you have to pay it anyhow. It means whether your machinery is working or not, you have to pay the interest to the bankers. So that is uncontrollable cost and it is fixed cost. So this is the way of partition of a controllability cost, the controllable and non-controllable cost. And these are the others, like a conversion cost. It means the cost of conversion from the raw material into finished product, that is conversion cost. Normal cost, it calls a notional cost or a nominal cost, cost which are actually incurred for the manufacturing of a unit or providing or rendered services. It is whatever the cost has been incurred, it's a nominal cost. You can compare with the historical cost also. Traceable cost, it means the cost which are easily traceable for the respected product, process, department, job, contract, it is called a traceable cost. Avoidable cost, it means the cost which can be avoided for the on the basis of a certain circumstances for the respected unit, that is called avoidable cost, or in this respected situation if you try to avoid that cost, that is avoidable cost. Unavoidable cost, it means in any circumstances if you are not able to avoid that cost, it is an unavoidable cost. Total cost, the cost which are actually incurred for the particular product in general or in total, it is a total cost. Transformation cost are a cost which are actually directly involved for the manufacturing of a product or manufacturing of a product or rendered services, it is called a transformation cost. It means up to a manufacturing expenses, the all cost is related to a transformation cost, like a manufacturing cost or production cost, that is transformation cost. Transaction cost, the transaction cost which actually concerned with the recharge of a property rights, information cost, bargaining cost, negotiation cost, coordination cost, or the amount of discussions has been incurred between the two parties, and the amount of controlling between the two parties, that is what the transaction cost. So this is all about part of classification of cost. This is what I want to tell you, the part of a classification of cost. Moving to the next point, and that is a cost concept. As the cost concept is ultimately a terminology of a different cost concept only. So there are many different terms which are frequently used in this particular system or in this particular subject. The first point is cost. Cost is what we already discussed in the earlier part. The cost, it means the amount of expenditures incurred for the manufacturing of a product or the rendered the services, or you can say the amount of money spent for a particular product. It is called a cost. Cost unit, this is very important, because of without identification of the cost unit you cannot identify the cost. So that means the cost unit, it means the amount of a cost unit as a quantity of a product or a service of time. So here for a manufacturing unit you can say the what amount of quantity you are manufacturing, that is a unit, or for us providing a services, the time is actually a concern for a service sector. So cost unit on the basis of a CIMA, it is very clearly defined on this concern, that the cost unit is as a unit of a quantity of product, service of time, in relation to which the cost may be ascertained or expressed. Next is cost center. This is also very important. As I already mentioned earlier part, that the many amount of expenditures incurred in the organization in general. So it is very difficult to discriminate, or it is very difficult to identify the what amount of expenditures is incurred for the respected department or a respected unit or a respected product. So if the cost center is identified, the whole amount of cost can be easily designed or identified. This expenditures is incurred for this department or for this product. So the cost center would be easily helpful to discriminate and divide the cost in a respected manner. So this is what the cost center is. The expenses is actually you can identify the what amount of expenditures are incurred for the manufacturing of product or providing a services, and any amount of revenue expenditures are incurred in general for the product, it is called an expenses, like a salaries, rent and other things. Loss in the form of cost. So if any specific amount or any particular sacrifices against your income, in the sense of if your income is a lesser than the total amount of expenditures, it is your loss, or you can say it is a loss. Cost driver is actually a factor that affects the amount of cost has been identified. So that means here if I want to take an example, same example, the coconut oil. The coconut is a cost driver. Exactly. So here the cost driver, it means the what amount of expenditures incurred and how the expenditures are actually changed on the basis of a certain parameters. The cost driver has been defined. And contribution is a difference between the selling price and variable expenses. It is called a contribution. It means that if your variable expenses is lesser than the selling price, the difference is your contribution. So this is what all about I want to tell you, the cost concept. It is an end of the second session, and the second session I maybe find out it is very effective for your knowledge advancement and enhancement. Please do find out the your comfortability with this particular unit, and find out the more and more conscious. Thank you very much.
स्वाध्यायः परमं तपः।
स्वाध्याय टीवी